It's when we go through challenging times, difficult times, times when we can't cope with the enormity of stress and the burdens which just seem to come in regular experiences that bring us to our knees emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and physically. And it's during those times that we turn to God and to Goddess, to divinity, to our spiritual path, to our practices, which allow us to cope more easily, more effortlessly than if we didn't take the time to pray and connect with God at any time of life. But for me personally, I'm really speaking from experience that God's holy name is the surest way of coping with the terrors and horrors of this world. And yes, I know I'm very frank. I'm just being honest. I say what I see. And though there's much beauty in this world, of course there is so much beauty in this world, but there is also so much horror and terror, so I'm speaking to that. But when I've had times of unbearable suffering, especially physical suffering, because I've had quite a lot of near-death experiences in this life with my health, and each one has made me stronger and more devoted. Each time I got that close to dying, I realized that there is nothing but divine love that we take with us when we depart from this world. And I want to develop that divine love inside of me and advance my consciousness to the point where the eternal reality is my reality. And that is the kingdom that Jesus Christ spoke of, and that all the saints and prophets speak of. Therefore, these great and noble beings, they sacrifice so much of themselves for this message of the kingdom, and for good reason, because they have realized and understood the eternal reality as being the ultimate source of spiritual everlasting joy and happiness and freedom from death, freedom from the cycles of non-stop reincarnation which we are currently bound to. We are in chains to our karmic wheel. Therefore, we never know from one moment to the next if a good or a bad experience is ahead of us. And ahead of our loved ones. Therefore, we constantly live in fear and anxiety. And this is why we've seen such an enormous increase of young people who are having anxiety and attacks, nervous attacks, where they shake and they can't cope with life and they hyperventilate and end up in the hospital even. And anxiety is now treated with medication rather than mind over matter. So the causes of anxiety are natural. It would be unnatural if we didn't feel anxious, because death can come at any moment and we will have to leave everything behind that we've become familiar with and attached to. So spending time each day reaching for the ineffable, it makes me feel like I'm not wasting my life away, that at the time of death it won't be so foreign for me, God won't be so far from me, so foreign to me, that I will have attempted to forge an honest open-hearted relationship with God and Goddess, with divinity, who I call Radhe and Krishna. And I find myself more and more drawn to these practices as time goes by. I went through a period in my life when I was detoxing from being on very heavy painkillers for a period of time when I was in hospital. And it was a lot of painkillers and a lot of different ones, and nobody warned me about their side effects, and I was basically on them for months because I had been diagnosed with Crohn's disease and I was suffering like you can't even imagine. Death would have been welcome because the pain and suffering was just so great. And I couldn't sleep when I was coming off these pills. I found that I was not able to sleep at all, not for 2 weeks. I didn't get even 1 hour's sleep for 2 weeks. I was going out of my mind, and I had the sensation of creepy crawlies underneath my skin, all over my body, and I felt like someone was running their nails down the blackboard of my nervous system, and there was no such thing as relief for 2 weeks. And all I could do was pace up and down the halls of the health retreat where I was doing some panchakarma, some healing after a long 6-week bout in the hospital. And I was detoxing from the painkillers. I didn't realize that that was what was happening to me because I didn't know that I had really even been taking painkillers. They were just given to me in an IV. So as I was coming off these drugs, I was pacing the halls and I was chanting God's holy name. I was chanting Hare Krishna mantra, the Maha mantra, because that's the mantra that I have learned and grown to love as a spiritual practice, though I honor all paths and all practices that lead one to divine love. So I found myself just completely hanging on to God's holy name with my soul, my mind, my heart, my consciousness, my everything that I am as a human being was thrown onto the floor before God, begging for mercy, for help, for relief. It was all I could do, in fact. So great was my suffering, and so great is the Lord in his mercy as the spiritual experiences that I eventually had because of this long period of time that I was spending a lot of time chanting. I gained some insight into the soul's journey from the temporary world of flesh to the spiritual world of eternality, knowledge, bliss, and everlasting happiness. So as I reached for that kingdom, I was given little glimpses into their world, into the world of our creators, where they live, how they live, what they do, what the place looks like, how magical it is, the sound vibrations there, the frequencies there, the love that's in the air. I could sense it, I could feel it all as if I was there, but I was not yet able to open my eyes in their world. But I felt so connected to it and so addicted to it because it was so real and so different, so psychedelic, so cosmic. And, you know, the Lord is so cosmic. Look at this world, look at the creation. I mean, it's the attention to detail. What a mind God has to create such splendor and such wondrous beauty.